Hey, it's Albert with Two Tribes Primal Living, and I'm going to make a video today. I've been out on the kayak fishing today. First day ever trying kayak fishing, and I think I did pretty good for my first day. I brought in two nice sized bass and two crappie, but I've got to fillet these fish because the alligator gar have been tearing up the basket that I keep them in and stealing my fish out of them. I lost a catfish and a striper bass last night. But I'm gonna talk with you guys about egoism and identity. Something that I was thinking about while I was out there fishing, and so just bear with me. I gotta get these fish done, but the thing about egoism and identity is, these are all the fish I got to fillet, so we can do it together. The thing about egoism and identity is most people don't know who they are. I mean, I went through it. I was one of those guys that kind of didn't know who he was and followed the crowd and trying to fit in, find an identity to where I would be accepted amongst different people. And I mean, it's something that we're all going to go through as human beings. I mean, everybody wants to be liked, everybody wants to be accepted, and so trying to find a group of friends that accepts you and for who you are or who they think you are is a goal that most of us, have to live. I mean, because there's a lot to do on this planet, especially here in modern day society. You've got football, you've got car racing, you've got fishing, you've got Harley Davidsons and building hot rods and I mean, and I'm mainly talking to guys. Women are the same way. They have their stuff that they get into, like shopping and fashion and whatever. I mean, whatever women get into, purses and stuff like that. But it's real easy to get lost in material things, trying to fit in with people, and I see it a lot. I'm out here on the lake, and I get to see it with let's just use fishermen for example. The fishermen, they have their own look about them. They have the shirts, they have the hats, they have the shoes, they have the pants and the sun visors and the sunglasses and all that stuff, and they identify with each other because of that. I've been through a lot of that. Harley Davidson. I rode Harley Davidson, a Harley for many years, and of course we have our own lingo, and same thing with the CrossFit community. I did CrossFit for many years, and they have their own lingo and their own fashion and their own set of rules for CrossFit, and it's the same with everything. I mean, you can just go across the board on this planet and pick the yogas, the vegans, the hippies. I mean, all these the kickers, and this is all stuff from school where we find our identity through the groups of people that we hang out with that share the same interests that we do, and we become these people. We dress like them, we talk like them, we hang out with them, and anybody outside the group is a wannabe, a poser, or whatever you want to call that. So my point in all this is it's real easy to lose yourself in today's society, um, of trying to fit in with these different groups of people that you know, it really isn't you. It isn't who you were brought on this planet to be. It's almost a misidentity. The geese are calling me because I feed them, so they're calling me to feed them, but I'm not going to feed them right now. So excuse the noise of the geese. Those are my friends. But anyway, getting back to the identity crisis that people are in. The problem with all this material identity, these false identities that we give ourselves. You know, whether you're in the military and only military people are your friends or are your brothers, or whether you were in a high school, that now the high school you identify with people that you went to high school with, or a college, or anything like that. I mean, it's across the board. Like I said, there's no group of people that you don't come in contact with. I mean, the Christians are one way. The metaphysical people are another way. So you just get caught up in these groups, and I mean, it can get expensive being in these groups. You can spend a lot of money trying to fit in with people, and you know, the fishermen around here, like I said, they have all the expensive clothing, and me, I'm walking around in Walmart water shoes and work shorts and a t-shirt that, you know, I don't really give a shit about the look of a fisherman. I'm catching food for me and Nikki, and we're gonna eat these fish. I mean, I don't think the fish really give a shit what I look like or what I'm wearing. You know, and the other funny thing is I'm catching these fish on 88-cent lures. They're not the high dollar lures from what do you call that place, Bass Pro Shop, or from Academy or anything like that. They're just cheap lures that I came across that I used to use as a kid, and I was like, well, I'm gonna try these. So I've been catching fish with them like crazy. So I heard one thing. It was lures don't catch fish; they catch men. And I was telling my mother-in-law that, and she was laughing about that. She's like, "Well, I need to start selling lures or something like that." But anyway, my point is, you can get into all these groups of people and seek an identity amongst them, or seek an identity, carve out an identity for yourself. But is that really who you are? Is that really who you were called to be? Were you called to be a biker? Were you called to be a fisherman with all the fishing gear? Were you called to be the CrossFitter with all the great CrossFit moves in great times and all that stuff for your workouts? And the answer is probably no. Those are things that we do, we become part of, another bass, things that we become part of to fit in. So what ends up happening when you fall into these groups, or you fall into these identities, is you lose your true self. You lose your connection to your soul, and your soul is actually your identity. It is who you are. It's who you were brought on into this planet as a blank slate, and everything that you become is something that you just become part of. You accept as you. Your parents send you to the school. I mean, the whole school pride thing never ceases to amaze me, because You know, it's like I have all this school pride, but it's not like you chose that school. That school was chosen for you because of the neighborhood that you lived in, or the town that you lived in. So people get all mixed up in this school pride crap, and they live in the past. So a lot of people's identity is their past, and there's many men that I've come in contact with as being a coach, in hearing about all the things they used to do when they were young, and in their 20s they could do this, and they were lifting 5,000-pound deadlifts, and that's an exaggeration, but most men, nobody's under 400 pounds when they were young. Every man I've ever met has been over the 400-pound deadlift, and then you put a barbell in their hand and they can't even lift 275 pounds. But you know, it's all that I used to do this, or I am this. The I am has become distorted with the I am this person, because this is who I identify as, to be accepted. And that's the whole point that I'm trying to make here, is people will identify with brands. They'll wear the logos on their bodies. They'll get tattoos. They'll you know, root for the team or whatever. I mean, they do all these crazy things to become fanatics, fans. So that's what a fan is. A fan is a fanatic, and they have all the gear, and they know all the stats, and they know all the history of some of these players, and the coaches, and the teams, and the car race drivers, and the CrossFitters, and the gurus, and all this stuff. But what good does that do you? What good does that do your family? I know you're going to say, oh, well, we spend time doing stuff together. Okay, that's good and all. Is that what they want to do, or are they doing it to follow you? Are they just trying to be part of your world, get your attention as a man? You know, do your kids really give a shit about football? Does your wife really give a shit about football? Does she really give a shit about fishing or working on cars? Or is she just trying to access you? And most people don't know that they even do this. They don't even know that their identity is false. That they're following the group. They're following the crowd. They're not being who they were. And the thing about that as well too is it's programmed into you from a young child. You know, you grow up in this world, and you go to the school, and you're in the school system, and everybody's deciding for you who you're supposed to be, what success is, what success looks like, what type of lifestyle you should live, even before you even had a chance to even decide for yourself. So most of the time you're just pleasing other people. You're not even living your own hopes and your own dreams. You're living to please your parents. You're living to please your grandparents, or even to impress the neighbors. And a lot of people do that. They live to impress other people, and you know, those people don't give two shits about you. They don't care whether or not you're successful or not. As soon as you fail, or as soon as something goes wrong in your life, they're gonna say, see, I told you that guy was a loser. I told you that guy didn't know what he was talking about. I told you that guy had more problems than. So, and I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it many times. Like I said, I've been a part of all these fucking groups of people who you have to identify with, and you have to dress and talk like them just to be a part of them. And it's a bunch of horseshit, is what it is. So, what ends up happening when you start falling into these things? You start spending money. Hey, get back over here. you start spending money that your family needs. You start spending time apart from your family and your spouse, your partner, your friends, your girlfriend, your husband, or whatever. I don't know what the fuck guys are into these days. Your she-male partner, who knows? I don't get into that shit. But you know, it like I said, it's all this identity stuff that you start to rob your family of time and resources just so that you could fit in as a man with other men and do the manly things and talk the manly talk and drink the beer and wear the clothes and talk about the women and all this other stuff. And I mean, if that's who you are, I mean, truthfully, I mean, if you're really somebody who's married and you want to talk about other women with your buddies, you know, is that fair to your wife? Is that fair to your kids? Is that fair to you? I mean, if you really didn't want to be with your wife, what the fuck are you doing with her? Why don't you just, you know, go run off with the 20-something-year-old waitress that is so meaningful to you and your buddies? So, you know, it's something that I see quite often. It's something that I've seen before. It's something that I've responded to with integrity before. I was at a gym one day, a gym that I frequented, and all these grown men, 40-something-year-old men, were standing around looking at these young girls, talking shit about them, like, oh man, and like, check her out, she's bending over, or oh man, check her out, and I'd hit that, and I'd do this, and I'd do that, and you know, I'm standing there, and I was married at the time, and I was like, you know what, why don't you just go out there? Y'all look like fucking idiots. Why don't y'all just go out there and stick your dick out and see if somebody will grab it? I mean, what the fuck are y'all doing? Y'all are all married, and these are young girls, so what the fuck is your problem? And they, of course, they got pissed off. Oh man, why do you gotta be like that? Why do you gotta talk shit like that? Like, because it's fucking wrong, man. But anyway, you know, getting back to the point, you start to support energies that aren't you. You start to entertain energies. I mean, if you're a man and you're watching this and you don't know that you're made of your energy, that your soul is energy, that your entire existence is energy. You start to take on the energies of these people, and you start to bring it home to your family, or you start to bring it into your life, and it's really destructive. I mean, people don't understand how destructive this energy of egoism, identity, it turns into materialism, and that materialism turns into things that can cause you to rob your family of what they need, who you were supposed to be when you impregnated your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and then your children are brought into the world, and you begin to rob them of what they require of you, because you're teaching them how to be egotistical, to seek identity through groups, acceptance, teaching them how to not become individuals, teaching them that the only way that they're going to be accepted in life, or they're going to be successful in life, is if they support a superstar or an actor or a sports team or whatever, a golf player or whatever, and if you're wearing their clothing line, or they're using their sporting equipment, endorsed sporting equipment, then that's the only way people are going to find value in you, and it's a bunch of horseshit. That's not what we were put on this earth for. We were not put on this earth to support and to worship people with endorsements. And I'm going to move this camera because I've got to, well, I can do, yeah, I'm going to move this camera down. But it's something, I'm actually going to move it closer so you can hear me better. It's actually something that that you know, you rob yourself of being part of the clubs and the groups and the identity, wherein, you know, paying $300 for something just because somebody else endorsed it. You know, I don't get that. I don't get being a supporter of somebody just because they're on TV. It doesn't make any sense. Would they show up to your job and support you when you're kicking ass at work? You know, probably not. They're not going to do that. They don't even know you exist. The only reason they know you exist is because they get paid millions of dollars to sponsor shit that you're going to buy because all your buddies have the same shit, or it makes you part of that group of guys that have that shit. And you know, that's and my point is, you know, when you make the world you live in that you created revolve around your ego, your identity. I mean, I've seen households that can't function on football Sunday because it's dad's time, it's the man's time to, I've worked hard all week, I've paid the bills, and I've fixed shit around the house, or whatever gives you the authority to dominate the household on a Sunday night or a Monday night or whatever. You know, those people that live in your house are just as important as you are. And you being the example that you're setting, you being the identity that you are, you taking on the identity that you take on is very destructive for future generations. And that's kind of what we're dealing with now on the planet, is we've got a bunch of kids who don't know who the fuck they are because their fathers didn't know who the fuck they were. And so now they're out there looking for identities and living through their emotions, their sensuality, their ego that is supposed to be, you know, well, dad, the men in my life, or the man in my life, you know, he was a dick, so I guess I'm supposed to be a dick too. And you know, a lot of young guys out there are fucking lost because the men, you know, my own son included, was I the man that I was supposed to be raising him? Probably not. But you know, that's something that I have to deal with. That's something that I have to work out, figure out as I progress through this physical existence. But you know, it's just like I said, it's real easy to get wrapped up in the brands and the teams and all that stuff, and set your wife aside so that you can do your own thing and do that. And I kind of did the same thing today. You know, I took off on the kayak because I was excited about it. It's an experience I've wanted to do for years. I mean, ever since I lived on the coast, I wanted to go kayak fishing, and I had the opportunity. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I did it. And but I left my wife here by herself, but she had things to take care of, so it was kind of a she needs to get things done, and I need to give her time to get her things done, because I just interrupt her and she can't get finished because I'm always fucking with her, talking to her or whatever. But she doesn't mind, it just distracts her. So I took off on the kayak for, I don't even know how long I was gone, a few hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever. But I got to experience, I got to live in a moment, and it didn't involve money. It didn't involve famous people. It didn't involve brands. It didn't, it didn't involve any of that stuff. It was just living in the moment, connecting to nature, the way we should as men. Hunting, fishing, but even that, the hunting, that shit gets expensive too. And does it really need to be that expensive? Does it really need to cost $500 or $1,000 every time you go hunting? I know people, great hunters, the great hunters of this land will get pissed off and hell yeah, it's got to cost that much if you want to. I don't know how our ancestors did it. I don't know how they brought down buffaloes without sportswear or whatever the hell they did. I don't know how they brought down mastodons and I don't know how they did that without all the latest and greatest sports gear, but somehow they did it. And so that's my point. My point is just that the identity of a person usually revolves around brands and styles and all this other crap. I'm done filleting my fish, but that's my point. Is while I was out there, I was like, these guys are on these expensive bass boats and they have all this gear on, and I'm out there, this dumbass in a kayak, throwing an 88-cent lure, catching fish right where they were at. And it was like, does all the branding matter? Does the brand and the endorsements and all that stuff really matter when you're doing stuff like that? And I don't think it does. I think what's important is that you live in the moment and you enjoy that moment, even if it's just for you. You don't have to get wrapped up in the brands. You don't have to get wrapped up in the celebritards. You don't have to get wrapped up in all the glitz and glamour of doing things. I watched a girl get made fun of at a CrossFit competition because she had on Nike shoes that weren't the brand that CrossFitters wore. And she was kicking everybody's ass, but they were making fun of her because of her shoes. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with it? This is high school shit that people never grow out of. And that's not being an adult. That's not being wise. That's not being a good example for your kids or for the community or for fucking society at that. That's being an asshole. That's being a dick. And the world could use less dicks. Honestly, judging people by their brands and shit like that. I know women do it. Women do it all the time. I've seen it. I was like, fuck, women are brutal about that shit. But guys are just dumbasses about it. They don't realize that they're the head of their household. They're the leaders. They are the examples that the little guys and the little gals are looking to. And you're walking around with some jersey on with some other man's name on it. It's like, what the fuck is the matter with you? Who taught you that's the way to live? Or you're pissed off because your guy didn't do as well as he was supposed to, and it's like, geez, talk about society being brainwashed and living through other people's successes or in order to forget about your lack of action towards what you wanted to become in life. Just because you didn't sell your soul to the devil to become a fucking celebritard doesn't mean that you're not successful. You'd realize how successful you are if you would just put the amount of energy into your world. If you would just put that amount of energy into your world, your kids, your wife, your family, whatever, your community, you'd realize how fucking badass you are, and people should be wearing your fucking jerseys with your name on it, and you should be wearing a jersey with your name on it, or whatever you identify as a man, you know, not as a fucking follower, not somebody who would I don't you know, it doesn't even make any sense. Somebody who would lose their shit if they met their fucking star quarterback or their star golfer or their star fisherman or star crossfitter, and they're drooling and doing all this shit on TV, you know, scheduling events around the celebritards that sold their soul. And I mean, your soul is just as fucking important as any other man's on this planet. So don't give that power away. Don't give that power to the corporations and the entertainment industry and to the sporting and endorsements and buying shit because some other asshole is saying that it's the stuff to use and it's the stuff to wear and this works and that works. And you know, I don't buy into that shit. And if you do, I mean, it's definitely affecting who you are, who you were meant to be. We as men are powerful. We as men are we're given the authority of being the head of households and in being the protectors and being the security and providers for our families and communities and stuff like that. And women have an important role too. Don't get me wrong about that. I'm sure my wife will make a video about that because she is a powerful fucking woman and she knows her power and I know my power. And we're not going to give it over to some fucking retard on TV who can run a ball down a field or is a good actor or a good speaker or some shit like that. Not going to do that. That's not who we are. Just as powerful. We possess the light that we came into this world with, and we're gonna capitalize on it. So I'm gonna leave this video here. I gotta go rinse these fish off, and I don't know, I think we're gonna eat some of it. But like, subscribe, drop me a comment, tell me what you think, and we'll talk to you guys later.